Well, hello. Now, this one is another interesting visual novel story that I found, and it's called The Life We've Chosen. I'm not entirely sure. I've got a very brief read here. Willow has been dealing with their inner demons for as long as they can remember, but the real demon in their backyard is still an enigma to them. The Life We've Chosen is a melancholy but hopeful story. Person choosing how to deal with their demons, both inner and external. So let's just go straight into it. Ooh, this game contains mature themes such as mental illness, mainly depression, and unhealthy relationships. I wasn't going to come here today. I'm gonna have to work all day tomorrow to make up for my distracted mind. I was going to work inside until nightfall. I decided only to do a few hours in the afternoon. It should have been easy enough, but in the end, I couldn't even handle that much. It's just one of those days. It's always one of those days. Just as my thoughts begin to wander, the demon appears. They always seem to manifest themselves out of thin air when I'm not looking. I never learn. Their large form is hunched over and wrapped up in a tattered cloak, just like on the day I first became aware of their presence. Though the seasons have changed, the demon has not moved from this spot. They never initiate conversation with me. Instead, it's as if they offer me the choice to leave and pretend we never saw each other at all. Wow, interesting. I do not leave. Hello again. The only response I get is a sleepy rumble in the back of their throat. Sometimes I wonder if my visits annoy them. Doesn't seem like the demon ever has anything else to do. That doesn't mean I'm not an inconvenience. I remind myself once again that if I was a bother, the demon could simply remain hidden from me. It's not like I can force them to show themselves. These meetings are their choice too. It's been a full year since our first meeting, hasn't it? The lake's been obscured by the heavy fog once again. I kind of miss this haze. There's something comforting about it. The demon doesn't respond. It often takes some time to get them talking, as if they need a moment to wake up. Or perhaps they're simply taking their time, deciding whether the conversation is worth having in the first place. Are you cold? After a calculated pause, demon draws a raspy breath. Their deep voice reverberates somewhere in their chest with untapped potential, but still, the sound that comes out of their beak-like mouth is barely louder than a sigh. The weather does not harm me. You would be wise to redirect your concerns. I have an extra blanket I could bring you. No. I knew there was no point in making the offer, but the demon's predictable answer amuses me regardless. The calm I felt after arriving here didn't last long. The plans I've made for tonight invade my mind out of nowhere. I can't stay long today. My friend is coming to pick me up soon. The one you've spoken of before, I presume. You remember? Her name's Ella. I don't know if I told you before. I have no interest in your names. Right. I probably wouldn't either. It would be tactless for a human to say such a thing. The demon's bluntness is refreshing in a way. You won't have to memorize many names for my sake. I have very few friends. It's really just Ella, and perhaps the demon themselves. It feels presumptuous to think of the demon as my friend. But what I don't say out loud, they won't know. I'm fairly certain they can't read minds. The demon shifts ever so slightly, adjusting their cloak. I still can't help thinking they must be cold. Your visits to this place have become more frequent lately. The observation makes my chest feel tight in a familiar way. Have they? A year ago, during the darkest days of fall, I also spent a lot of time down here. I had just moved into the small and cheap house up the slope, alone for the first time in my life. The house was suffocating. I had very few things going on in my life, yet everything felt like too much to handle. I didn't know what to do with myself without anyone at home to perform happiness for me. Or perform happiness for. My apologies there. The lakeside felt like the only place I could breathe. It's happening again, isn't it? An idle glance at the demon reveals to me they are waiting for me to elaborate. I guess I like it better here. Better than your dwelling, you say? Yeah. Perhaps you should look into finding a more comfortable home. I can never tell whether they're joking. It's not the building that's the problem. The problem is all the things I need to do there. All the things I need to think about. It's too much, sometimes. I see your kind is still obsessed with arbitrary responsibilities. You're not wrong. But when I'm here, I feel I can just exist in peace, I suppose. It's nice. Fallen leaf lands silently in the moss growing from the demon's body. I've never once seen them move. Since our first meeting a year ago, they've never failed to show up when I've come looking for them. Are they really here all the time? My curiosity is great. The topic is a little too close to home for me to address directly. Do you like it here? The demon draws a raspy breath before responding with audible exhaustion in their voice. It does not matter whether I like it here or not. I am here, and that is what I've chosen. There's a sense of finality in their words that stuns me for a moment. There are many more questions I'd like to ask, but in that moment I realize I'm late. I'm sorry. I have to go now. I can't make Ella wait. Do not apologize, human. I catch Ella just as she's getting out of her car in my driveway. If I'd left just a moment earlier, I would have had time to go back inside and pretend I'd been there all day. Now it's too late. Hey, aren't you cold like that? Where's your jacket? Fine. Where's yours? Need one in the car, Dumbo. What were you doing in the woods? I was just about to ring your doorbell when I saw you. I make a panicked sound while I try to think of what to say. I forgot to come up with an excuse. I, ran into someone. Ooh, neighbor. Kind of. Kind of? Who was it? I hesitate. I hate lying, but I still need more time. When I tell her about the demon, I'll have to do it the right way. Terrible for lying to her once again. I just don't have the courage today. It was just someone from the area. I don't know where they live. Ella makes that face that tells me a lecture is coming. Don't you remember what Miss Bailey taught us in first grade? Don't talk to strangers, especially not in scary places after dark. We aren't children. No, but you live alone. Who's going to help you if something happens to you? She knows I still don't have an answer to her question, although she's asked it many times. I shrug in defeat. Well, I'm sure you remember I've got a spare room at my place if you ever need it. How could I forget when she reminds me about it every few months? Thanks, but I'm fine. I just worry about you. You know that. Ella bites her lip to appear endearing. Although I know it's a trick, I have to admit it kind of works. After making sure I saw her display, Ella puts on a peppy face, seemingly satisfied with having guilt-tripped me out of arguing back. Anyway, let's go, shall we? Can't have you running out of canned soup again. We get in the car. Sorry about making you do this right after work again. No, I'm kind of glad. It's good for me to see friends now that things are over with Elijah. They are? Ella doesn't even try to hide the bitter disdain in her voice. Didn't I tell you? He doesn't want to make the move into a crappy little town like this. His words, not mine. I hadn't realized it was that serious. I feel slow for not having made the connection on my own. A better friend would have seen the signs. Anyway, it's for the best. If we'd gotten married, we would have been Ella and Elijah forever. You imagine Ella and Elijah? It just sounds wrong, doesn't it? I guess. You, on the other hand, have a super rad last name. Maybe we should get hit. What? We were still in middle school. I would have blushed at a joke like that, but I kept thinking about it for weeks, trying to decipher whether there might have been some genuine interest hidden in it. Now, however, we're older. Then you would have to deal with me every day. You don't want that. Hey, don't pretend you know everything about me. Ooh, French toast sticks. Sorry. I'm getting distracted. Ooh, look at this. Listen to this beat. It became dark outside while we did our shopping. I should be good for another 2 weeks. As I'm loading my groceries into the trunk, I catch Ella watching me from the corner of my eye. What? Did you know Sally owns the air? Air? Oh, he owns the air we breathe. Did you know Sally owns the hair salon now? Her boss left and went back to school for a second degree. So it was my neglected hair that caught her attention. Figures. Oh, good for her. I was thinking we could go see her sometime. You haven't seen her in a while, have you? It'd be fun to just show up randomly at her workplace someday. Maybe. I don't know. Wouldn't that be kind of rude? What? No, she'd be happy, I'm sure. I doubt she gets many customers on her own anyway. The boss was the good one, you know. Don't tell her I said that. Ella looks thoughtful as she locks the car trunk. Do you think Sally doesn't like you or something? No, nothing like that. I just thought it would be bad manners for us to show up without warning. Got a point. You think too much sometimes, you know that? It's really not a big deal. Desperate for a change of topic, I glance at the locked trunk, pretending to have remembered something. Oh, I was going to get garbage bags. We can go back. No, I'll get them some other time. I have 1 or 2 left. I don't know if I can drive you next week. Will you really be fine? I have a bike. A bike you hate using. I don't hate it. I just haven't had a reason to use it lately, thanks to you. I tried to give Ella an appreciative smile, which probably comes across as forced, but she accepts it gracefully anyway. You're welcome. The moment I get home, thoughts about tomorrow shape my mind. I have nothing to distract myself from the dread of having a full workday ahead of me. You know, I'm gonna take a pause here for a second. This is like a normal person's life. Most people, I would say probably 90 to probably 95, more realistically, 95% of people are not happy with their overall life. When I say that, I don't mean, you know, the world is pain and everything's awful. I mean general things like your job. Most people, we work for money, you know? That's it. I think a lot of people are unfortunate. Most people are unfortunate, and work is through necessity and not compassion. Well, passion or impulse. It's more. It's an actual necessity, and it's a task, which is a shame. Anyway, normally on an evening like this, I would escape to the lake, even if I would feel embarrassed doing so twice in a day. Perhaps I still have some dignity left. I end up going to bed too early. I practically ran out the door when the email arrived. Something about my performance. Low words per hour rating. I'll never be good enough, will I? I really tried my best this week, after that one day when I couldn't handle anything. This was supposed to be an easy side job anyone could do. When I arrived at the lake, I almost wanted to cry, but I managed to calm myself with a deep breath. One thing at a time. Today everything is still alright, I tell myself. Today I'm not falling apart. Won't think about it today. I address the demon beside me. There's something else on my mind. An idea that began forming a few days now. An idea that could take a lot of pressure off of me. Can I bring Ella to meet you? Only after I've asked the question do I realize I'm not sure if I even greeted the demon properly today. My obsession with the idea may have overridden my manners. Luckily, the demon isn't concerned about manners anyway. They respond in a sleepy, uninterested tone. It is your life and your choice, human. You do not need my permission. I would still like to have it. This is your home. There's a long pause, longer than usual. When the demon finally speaks, it's with reluctance. I do not presume to know how your friend will react to meeting one of my kind. However, in my experience, these events rarely end well. This path could lead you to much suffering. Perhaps it will. It's not what I asked. Do I have your permission or not? The demon sighs submissively. You do. All right then. I'll bring her sometime soon. Thank you for looking out for me. Judging by their surprised reaction, the demon isn't used to being thanked. I should try saying nice things more often. In order for Ella to react well, I'll need a plan of some sort. How do I introduce a demon to someone who's never met one and probably doesn't believe they exist? That is a hell of a Herculean task, my friend. You haven't told me your name. I have no name. There's a subtle tightness in the demon's voice, just noticeable enough to tell me I shouldn't push the issue. I'm just thinking about how I'm going to introduce you to Ella. A name isn't necessary, but some kind of descriptor would be good to have, I think. You will figure it out. You're useless. Lack of reaction immediately makes me regret what I just said. I'm sorry. It's a joke. Humor is not new to me. It has changed very little since its conception. It was still a bad joke. They don't seem offended. I make a mental note to watch my mouth regardless. This isn't Ella I'm talking to. When did I start making the same jokes as her anyway? I've never even liked that kind of humor. She likes to make friendly jabs, but a jab is still a jab. wasn't like that when we were young. Close my eyes for a bit. Now that I've told the demon about my plan, I feel both relieved and anxious. I was hoping relief would be the frontmost feeling. It isn't. The cold breeze from the lake causes a shiver to run down mine. Return to your dwelling. Nights like this are not meant for humans. I don't want to. This is all going to change. Next time we meet, this will all be different. Little scared. What of? I don't know what Ella is going to think of this. Of you. Already you are having second thoughts. No, I'm not. I've made my decision. I'm not going to keep hiding you from her as if you're something shameful. It is a matter of honesty, then. Yes, but it's not just that. I lose my nerve before I can articulate the difficult thought in my head. I can feel the demon's watchful eyes on me. Where do they get the patience to always wait for me to sort out my thoughts? Hard to imagine Ella or anyone else being that interested in what I have to say. Perhaps that's exactly it. I've been thinking, and for a long time it's been like Ella and I don't really see each other. We talk often, but I feel as if she doesn't really hear me. I don't think she really knows me at all. I want her to understand me better. I want her to know what's really going on. What is going on? The question hits me hard. It shouldn't have. It was just a question. I forget to breathe for a moment. What is going on with me? Oh, we got a choice here. I didn't know there was choices. Well, I say this demon seems to be far more reliant. Let's confess. I say that, although I'm not sure how to word my confession. The demons sit still as ever. There's something off about them. Looking in their eyes, I see an emotion I can't quite name. I can't help thinking it looks a lot like sorrow. Why? I'm sorry. Should I not? The demon breathes in, seemingly deeper than usual. It is not that I do not wish to hear what you have to say. It is the timing is precarious. There are enough variables in the air as it is. I fear having this conversation now would only complicate things. It seems they've understood my meaning, although I'm not entirely sure what I was going to say myself. I understand. Another time, then. Another time. We fall back into a shared silence. Although we both know there is something in it we are both ignoring. Feels odd, but I trust the demon's judgment better than I trust my own. Although the night is still young, a wave of drowsiness sweeps over me. I could almost fall asleep standing. Demon's silent presence is an immense source of comfort. It would be so easy to lie down, sleep right here, knowing they'd be watching over me. It's a selfish desire, and although I'm not bold enough to act on it, the thought brings me solace. A gentle nudge on my left shoulder. It wasn't warm or cold. It's as if it wasn't there at all, but I know I felt it. I look up, a little embarrassed. The demon returns my gaze with the same hard-to-read eyes as always. The voice, however, is soft. Return to your dwelling, please. Although I prefer to cling to this moment a little longer, I can't deny the appeal of their recommendation. As I gather up willpower to get moving, I realize my joints ache from the cold. The demon's common sense proves to be better than mine, once again. I don't know what to say after all. See you soon. Mm-hmm. I slept and dreamed of ominous but strangely comforting scenarios that night, all about failure. Reality couldn't possibly be worse. As morning came, I was not afraid. Having made the decision earlier, the action came easier than I thought it would. When Ella arrived at my driveway, I simply asked her if she'd like to meet the neighbor I'd mentioned previously. I tried to make the invitation as quick and casual as I could so that I wouldn't have time to talk myself out of it. Ellie was clearly reluctant, but she agreed. I was hoping I would suddenly gain enough courage to try and explain the situation to Ella, but it didn't happen. I still find myself avoiding her questions, I'm afraid. The only way I can be honest with her is by taking her to see the demon with her own eyes. Okay. Right. Ella stays close to me on the path to the lake. This is getting really creepy. Why can't we meet them at your house? We're almost there. During this short walk, I must have told Ella not to worry a dozen times already. We begin the descent down to the lake. The demon is there, waiting for us as they promised. They must have sensed our approach. I turn to Ella. Whoa, what is that? Some kind of... Then it hits her that what she's seeing is not a statue, but a live being. Face contorts with shock and then horror. Got to calm her down. I speak up using the most soothing tone I can muster. Come on, let's go talk. She doesn't respond or move. It's as if she's frozen in place. My words don't seem to reach her at all. Without warning, she grabs my hand, and suddenly I'm being dragged back up the hill. Ella, wait. Wait, there's nothing to... I trip on something and nearly fall over, only kept up by Ella's stubborn grip on my hand. Stop, Ella. Let go of me. She doesn't stop until we arrive at her car, panting and frazzled, my shoulders in pain from getting yanked around so violently. I'm so angry and humiliated I can feel the sting of tears behind my eyes. Why couldn't you just stop for 2 seconds? Ella ignores me. For a minute, we just lean against the car and catch our breath. Eventually, she speaks up with a stern tone. You can't stay in this house. Come live with me. This again? Now. You're joking, right? I'm serious. Let's get you out of that house. Please. You have to get out. She's overreacting. This is even worse than I thought was possible. I don't want to lose you. I'm not going anywhere. I've never seen her so desperate before. Her voice is strained with concern for me. You don't know that. It's a demon. You don't know what it can do. The demon would never hurt me, and she even suggests they would. I trust them. They've been more honest than either of us, actually. It's a demon. What do you think demons do? They trick and seduce people and all that. Since when have you even cared about stories like that? You decided to start caring just now. She breathes heavily. I realize I'm doing the same. How did it come to this? We've never fought before. Not like this. With every breath, I regret this night more and more. I've ruined everything. It's manipulating you. I don't think so. It's really nice, but how can you know? How do you know it's not going to hurt you? I guess I don't. I can't bring myself to acknowledge it out loud. All the deep conversations we've had, I barely know anything about the demon. Suddenly there are tears in Ella's eyes. Despite everything, it pains me to see her upset. I almost can't stand looking at her. I don't want to lose you. I want to reassure her somehow. I already know nothing I say will help. She's not going to understand what the demon means to me. I tried to blink back the tears, but It's useless. This is all useless. Ella. She's very close. My heart begins pounding again. The catalyst is not fury this time. We've never been this close before. Ella's hands reach for my shoulders. When was the last time she touched me? On the school playground when we were 10? This is different. This can't be. No, she wouldn't, would she? There's no way. She's not interested in me. She's never returned my feelings. I don't even know what I feel anymore. It's all messed up. So tired of trying to make sense of all this. Maybe if I just let Ella guide me. Oh. Not on the whim of another. A look of disgust flashes across Ella's face. Why are you like this? What are you afraid of? Nothing. It's a lie, but I know now I can't trust her with the truth. You're going to be alone forever. So what? That's so wrong? Maybe I want to be alone. Taken aback by my own harsh tone. So is Ella. But I realize I don't regret it. Her expression changes from confused to defensive to angry. I stare at her as if daring her to argue back, but no more words come out of her mouth. The weak part of me wants to apologize. I've clearly wounded her, and that's something I've always been afraid of doing. However, it isn't my problem if my confidence hurts her. It isn't wrong of me to be honest with her and with myself. She's not going to convince me to second-guess myself tonight. Not ever again. Leave. I don't let her shocked face sway me. She waits an embarrassing amount of time before getting in her car. I bet she wants me to change my mind and get to stay. I won't give her the satisfaction. Recalling her words threatens to make me angry all over again. She wants me to abandon the demon who's been the one bright spot in my life this past year. One person I've truly looked forward to seeing. How can she claim to care for me and then make a demand like that? I'm more hurt on the demon's behalf than for my own sake. Well, I didn't even give them a chance. By the time I have the thought to go and apologize to the demon, my feet have already taken me halfway down the path through the forest. I arrive at the lake to find the demon there, just the way they were earlier. I walk out slowly, suddenly unsure of what to say. Give them a bashful glance, but it's difficult to look them in the eye. I end up speaking to the lake rather than directly to the demon. I'm sorry. The demon inhales, clearly exhausted. And I am too. For a moment, we just exist in silence, separately but together. The lake looks the same as ever. The night's events have left me weary. At least I still have this. Is your relationship with the red-haired one mended? No. She said some things that hurt me a lot. I'm finding I don't really want to talk about it. I didn't come here to lament the loss of a friendship that has been causing me more stress than joy for years. I'm sorry to hear that. It's not your fault. I think this would have happened sooner or later regardless. I'll grieve later. To be honest, I feel better. I was under the impression she was a beloved friend of yours. I thought so too. But it seems that was my biggest mistake. I think I'll be better off without her. The familiar lakeside and the demon's presence have calmed down my nerves in mere minutes. I can breathe again. The pale grey lake ripples softly. Ella has no place here. I should have known she wouldn't understand. It's just the demon and I'm at peace with that. Suddenly, something changes. Ground beneath my feet shifts just a little. The entire forest does. Demon is moving. Whoa. They stand up slowly, every ancient bone in their body snapping to their rightful place, one by one to make the motion possible. Terrifying sound echoes through the forest. Somehow the demon doesn't seem to be in pain. Their face looks the same as ever. They must have done this before. Repairing their broken bodies seems to be only a matter of will to them. The little twigs and leaves that once rested on their stationary form have fallen off. There are even feathers. The demon's cloak falls off their shoulders, revealing the torn remains of a pair of wings. Countless dark feathers flutter to the ground, twisted and lifeless. There's something viscerally familiar about the sight that makes me nearly tear up on the spot. I understand, I would say, if I could bring myself to speak. Even while standing on 2 feet, the demon still appears hunched over. They look terribly old, weighed down by millennia of pain and indifference. I feel an overwhelming desire to take their hand and steady them like one would do for a frail grandmother, but I know I am far too small to support them. Is it time? Their voice is distant. I'd never realized just how softly they speak. Time for what? My departure. What? I feel as if I've swallowed an icicle, thinking of leaving. But this is your home, is it? It has been, for a time. Do not feel sad. I will find another. Why now? The demon avoids eye contact with me. They speak once again, in that calculated tone that leaves me feeling disconnected. When a human, temporary being desires to grow, it is only right that my kind make room for them. I will move for you, if that is what you desire. I didn't ask for this. They didn't have to do this for me. I never asked them for anything, but regardless, I've become a burden again. I've never said I want you to leave. As if caught off guard by the broken voice, the demon looks at me for a brief moment. They can't seem to hold eye contact, though, as they speak with a wavering tone. You've lost something dear to you tonight. Whether you admit it or not, this occurred because of me. So what if it did? It was my fault too. And hers. Especially hers. My jaw clenches painfully. It's her fault the demon feels guilty. You will surely begin forging new relationships soon enough. When you do, it is for the best that I am not in your way. I don't want to believe their words, but they seem convinced. You really believe this is the right thing to do. Human lives are short. They are better spent with your own kind, not with old relics such as I. Don't you agree? Is this really how it's supposed to go? It doesn't feel right. But the demon does have an infinite amount of experience in this subject. They were right to warn me about introducing Ella to them. As well, I know nothing compared to them. The demon regards me with a soft gaze. Let us close this chapter. A tangible sadness hangs in the air. There are things on my mind I've been wanting to tell the demon, things I won't be able to say after they've gone. I should make their departure as painless as possible, but... I speak up against my better judgment, emboldened by the finality of this moment. I know what I'm about to say will only make saying goodbye more painful, but I must say it. A breath evokes melancholy scent. Willing myself not to get emotional, I just need to say the words. The last thing there's left to say. Yeah. Time freezes as if I'd said nothing at all. Demon's eyes are unreadable, more so than before. I wonder if confessing to them was callous of me. But what's done? Well, you can love them. They are your friend. Slowly they avert their gaze. When they speak, their voice is restrained by 1,000 emotions. For the demon's sake, I pray none of them are like mine. If that is so, then I will not make this any more difficult to... Oh, fuck. I'm getting overwhelmed by this story. If that is so, I will not make this any more difficult for you. They face the lake without looking back. I close my eyes, and the demon takes a step forward on the dry grass. Live well, human. I open my eyes to find them flooded with emotion. Lake ripples like always, blind to the tragedy that just occurred. I raise my head, knowing I won't see the demon beside me anymore. Even their torn feathers on the ground have vanished. The soothing sound of their voice, their unchanging, comforting presence, all gone. Crying. Wrong. I really thought I was going to make it without crying. Just made it. Oh. Okay. Wow, that's one of the endings, huh? Oh, that's ending two. Obviously, there's a bunch of other endings here. However, this is all I have time for right now. This is a much longer video than usual. But I know it's a short game and I wanted to play it all the way through. I feel I made the choices that I would want to make. And although it's incredibly unfortunate we had to lose our friend, at least we were able to say goodbye in a good way. It was best to leave with a good, a last hurrah goodbye. It is to, burn that bridge and drive it through the floor. That was a game called The Life We've Chosen. Thank you very much for watching. I will catch you in another video.